Hi everyone. I want to read the introduction to a little fairy story that I wrote that found me a long while ago now in the north of Japan. It's the introduction to a Japanese version of the story The Magic Porridge Pot, one of my very favorite stories of all time. I spend a lot of time thinking of the future, and I spend even more time thinking of the past. In all my wonderings, I consider how the decisions I have made will shape the days, the months, and the years that, with any luck, stretch out into the abyss that's waiting. As I sit in my chair writing, or more usually staring out of the window as I think about the passage of time, I get flashes of places I've been and people I've encountered. I'm not sure if anyone reading this would know what I'm talking about. After all, it's something that I've never discussed with others. But certain sounds, sights, smells, and even tastes tend to bring flashes of memory into my mind, flashes sparked from the recesses of the grey matter up here. Flashes that, when gathered all together, make me who I am. A moment ago, I heard the faintest cry of a bird up there in the palm tree outside my office here at Dar Khalifa. I don't know what kind of bird it is or why it was coaxed to make any sound at all. What I do know, however, is that it made me think of a time when I was preoccupied by a culture that was once dominant across Japan, the culture of the Ainu people. Almost 40 years ago, I was living in an attic studio in North London. I was bored by the people I knew, by the buildings I saw, and by every iota of the life that had taken hold of me. I yearned for adventure and to be flung headlong into something that was quite different from my own meager corner of normality. It was at this time that, while poking around at the back of a little used bookshop in nearby Swiss Cottage, that I discovered a treasure beyond my wildest dreams, the fabled 1911 edition of Encyclopedia Britannica, a colossus of the human experience. Its huge 29 volumes were leather-bound with glorious blue marbled end papers. The price for the set was £90. A huge, huge amount. At least it was for me, a would-be writer who had not yet made anything from the craft he was trying to master. The bookshop's owner had taken a shine to me, and he allowed me to pay for one volume every week and take it away. And so I did. For more than half a year, I would turn up each Saturday morning, hand over £3 in coins, and carry away the next volume. From the first moment of the first volume arriving in my attic studio, I made a solemn promise to myself. I would read every single volume, word by word, page by page, article by article. Reading the first volume, I found myself learning about the Admiralty, roaming through Africa, and getting to grips with little-known areas of agriculture. But then, turning to page 441, I read for the first time a word that was to dominate my life. Ainu. Britannica described how they were the original people of the Japanese archipelago before being pushed up into the northernmost island, Hokkaido. Their world was packed with the most fascinating and curious mythology, religion, and culture, chief among which was the annual Festival of the Bear. The article introduced me to the Ainu concept of floating worlds and to the extraordinary tree bark garments they wove together on looms. I remember telling everyone I met about the Ainu and of their secret folklore revealed to me through the pages of 1911's Britannica. During coming days, I kept reading my way through Volume 1, but all I could think about was the article on the Ainu. I had so many questions. I yearned to know if anything of the Ainu culture still existed, or whether it had all been absorbed into Japanese society. I yearned to know the folk tales of the Ainu people, but most of all I yearned to know whether the Festival of the Bear was still held in the wilds of mountainous Hokkaido. So I did something which I have done so often since. I sold anything I had of value and I bought an aeroplane ticket. Then, packing the first volume of Britannica, a pair of notebooks and a few old clothes into a bag, I flew to Japan. Nothing could have prepared me for that journey or for the fabulous eccentricities I was to find. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm profoundly enthused by Japanese life and culture, but nothing there wooed me or wowed me so greatly as glimpsing the last strains of Ainu society. After zigzagging my way up to Sapporo, I traveled north, further and further into the great island's hinterland. Then one evening, having got off a local bus at the wrong stop, I was invited into a tiny ryokan, a guest house. To my surprise, the owner spoke good English. His name was Shintaro, and he was, he said, an Ainu. After much conversation, he asked me why I'd come. Opening my luggage, I pulled out the 1,000-page volume that had been weighing me down since London. Turning to page 441, I pointed a finger at the word Ainu. Shintaro grinned expansively. Yours is not a tourist trip, but a pilgrimage, he said. Yes, a pilgrimage, I mused. A pilgrimage to find answers and to do honor. Unsure of how to proceed on my Ainu pilgrimage, I stayed at the ryokan for 7 days and for 7 nights. During that time, Shintaro revealed all kinds of fragments about the Ainu land and culture and folklore. In a pause between conversations, he smiled, rubbed his hands together and peered down at the tatami flooring. I shall tell you a story, he said, not because you may want to hear it, but because it is calling out, asking to be told. And this, he said, is how it goes. That's how I came to find the Japanese magic porridge pot that lives inside me even now.